So most golfers think that when they're done with their backswing, it's just time to start their downswing. And with that mindset, a lot of people hit at the ball from the top of their swing. This is not what you want to do. We're going to focus on the transition today, that little magic moment between the top of the backswing and the beginning of the downswing. It's critical to get the sequence of movements right in your transition so you can have more distance, accuracy, and consistency to your ball striking. Let's get started. All right, so you know how much I love analogies. Here is a Nerf gun. I'm going to load the gun, then I'm going to cock the gun, then I'm going to shoot the gun. Whoops, sorry about that. I actually had pretty good aim on that, didn't I? So what's really interesting about that process is it's really no different than your golf swing. So let me grab the golf club and go through it. So in the golf swing, we want to load the gun, then cock the gun, then fire the gun. You can't fire a gun unless it's loaded with a bullet and cocked. Otherwise, you're either just shooting blanks or you're not able to shoot the gun at all. So if you want to hit a golf shot with accuracy and firepower, you have to do those three things in that order. Wind up, continue to load the downswing, the beginning of the downswing, which is the transition, and then rotate and fire your body in a way that really propels the club head, or in this case, the bullet, outwards and through impact. Now the transition is so important, it's its own phase of the golf swing in my book, A True Swing. I talk about 5 phases. The heave, which is the beginning of the backswing, creating some initial momentum. The tipping point, which is basically the response to that momentum and lets the club tip over at the top and hinges the wrists for a full load. And then, of course, the fall, which is the transition. I talk about it with that term because I think it very much describes what's actually happening. Our body needs to change direction from going back to going forward so we can reroute the momentum of the swing from backswing to downswing. So there is a bridge move we have to make. It's lateral and it's vertical. So I call it the fall. I actually got the idea from Tom House, who's a pitching coach. And when he coaches his baseball pitchers, he talks about after the windup that the first move is to fall laterally before you unwind your body. Again, so many golfers think that, okay, I'm fully wound up, it's just time to unwind. And they miss that bridge move that gets their momentum moving in the correct direction and gets everything even a little bit more loaded before you totally unload and fire the gun. Okay, so we want to make a good fall. So how do we do it? Well, once we're fully wound up back here, we've completed the backswing, it's time to load the lower body primarily in both a slightly forward and down motion. So what you can see is that my pressure is shifting and pushing into my front leg. I'm not sliding out, my knee is not moving laterally to the point where it's outside the position of my front ankle. This would be unstable. My hip isn't traveling that far. My upper body and shoulder, everything is moving over just to get on top of my front ankle. And this is very important for hitting iron shots because we really want to make sure we're moving and recentering our body to get everything in position so that when we do finally rotate and fire through impact, the club swings out, we can bottom the club out at just the right point, which is where? Just after the golf ball. That's our perfect divot location. Here are my shoulders, and I want you to see this from the side view. If I take my golf posture and make my backswing wind up, this is what the fall would look like from here. We shift and press. You can see it's a bit forward and down. So my shoulders are not opening yet. You can still see that the position of my upper body actually has not changed in space rotationally, only from a lateral perspective. If I do the same test with my hips wind up, here's my transition. I want you to notice something with the club in hand. When I make the transition and I make my good fall left and down, how naturally my arms come down just a little bit vertically. They don't shoot out towards the golf ball because, again, there's no rotation of the body, but they are starting to also fall and move down naturally here. This is the ultimate little shallowing move that so many instructors and golfers are talking about and trying to execute. It should happen automatically in this part of the golf swing. You shouldn't have to force the club into a shallowing position. So at the top, if you're relaxed and your body's making a nice fall to the left, you can see how my arms and the club are shallowing right on plane. Also notice how my hips are staying back against a boundary here. I'll draw a little graphic so you can see this. They're not moving in towards the ball and standing up in an effort to shallow the club. That would be the wrong way of doing it. So up to the top, sit and fall. Now everything is not only loaded, but the gun is cocked. And from here, it's time to rotate and unwind the body. The beauty of having a great golf swing transition and sequence is that when it's time to fire at the ball, you can actually swing and just truly let it go. You don't have to hold back at all. When you have good sequence, you can swing faster and, dare I say, harder at the golf ball when you finally unwind your body, because at that point, if everything's been locked and loaded and cocked for so long, you better fire at the golf ball or the club is going to be way late or the face is going to be way open. So load the gun, cock the gun, fire the gun. That is the order we are looking for. Load, cock, fire. Backswing, transition, pivot. Backswing, transition, pivot. Call it whatever you want. It's just that the sequence that good golfers use in their swing goes in that order. We wind up, we transition, and then fire at the golf ball. If you mess up the firing code, you're going to mess up the opportunity to hit the ball better, straighter, and farther, which is what we all want to do. Try to work on a pump drill, as I was just demonstrating, going through the sequence where you slow it down but get the movements in the right order, then smooth it out and make it faster. That's how I would approach practicing integrating a good transition into your golf swing. Here's a couple more ideas for drills that you can use to improve your ability to transition with the right sequence. Step and swing drill is one of the best transition drills out there. What you want to do is set up your shot and then bring your feet back together. And from here, when you finish your backswing, you're going to be stepping the opposite way back to your original stance with, not with body rotation. This is just lateral and vertical. So you can see it's almost as if my left foot is going left as my arms are going back. So you can play with the timing of this. Some people like to wait till they get a little higher up to then take that step. I don't mind if you actually do it really right from the beginning so you feel that pressure and movement left. And then again, it's as if you're going to hit a wall here. You're not going to go past that ankle. You're just going to hit a wall with your knee, hip, and shoulder, at which point, once you're there, you can rotate and swing through as fast as you want. You're already on your front leg pivot post and you're ready to fire the gun. Here's what it looks like from down the line. So feet back together, step and swing. If the transition is new for you, you might have a pretty good chance of getting into the position that you want at the right time, but then struggle maybe getting out of it and coordinating impact from there. So what I would do is a left leg or front leg pivot post drill so you can coordinate the release of your body through impact from the transition position. So you set up yourself where you want to be at the end of your transition, which is on your front leg with the knee bend, both knees bent to be totally honest, okay? But pressure at 80% left. You want to have your club handle leaning a little bit forward as well with a normal ball position. From here, you can take a half a backswing just to mimic where you would be in the transition coming down right about here. And then all that's left to do from this position is to push up and out of that front leg, let the body rotate, and let the arms and hands naturally kind of release down with all that body rotation. If you're relaxed through here, the body rotation late in this part of the swing should get everything to kick out through the ball through impact. So again, what it's going to look like is this. I'm going to set up with pressure on the front leg, lots of knee bend. I feel very low. So low that if I don't stand up, I might hit behind the ball. So this is going to guarantee that you have to push up and out of this position late in the follow through so that you can really make sure you get through the ball and not hit behind it. Gosh, that you to work the club back about halfway and then finish out in front of you like so, just working on getting out of that transition move so you can then link everything together. You've got the pump drill, the step and swing drill, and the pivot post drill. So you've got a lot of good things to work on. Go spend some time on the driving range, get some good contact under your belt with an iron, and then you can take these ideas to some of the longer clubs in your bag. So we're not done yet because we have to talk about the transition for driver. Everything I've told you so far should really give you a good start with all of your irons and hybrids because we're hitting down on the golf ball, and that transition and fall move that I'm encouraging you to integrate should really get you in a good hitting position to lead that club down and through in the right way at the right time. But with driver, we have a long club, a ball position that's way in the front of our stance, and because of that, our setup position is a little bit different to start with. Our chest and head are more behind the ball, and we're not going to be coming back and getting on top of the ball or in front of the ball like we do with an iron to hit down on it. We're starting behind the ball. We want to stay behind the ball, but that doesn't mean we don't transition in a similar way. We want to wind up, and then of course with our transition move, shift left and press down. But notice how my upper body's returning a little bit to the spine tilt that I started with. And this is in an effort to come back to a position where I can hit up on the golf ball. So it's the same transition pattern, it's the same timing and sequence, but the angle of the upper body is slightly tilted back. That's called spine tilt. We have it at setup and we should have it at impact. So I want you to think about your transition with driver and practice that separately with a conscious effort to make sure that your angles are all matched up so that you can get the most out of your driver. When it's time to finally fire the body after you've loaded the gun, cocked the gun, and now here we go, here's the rotation, you want to make sure you come back to that original spine tilt. So pay attention to that, videotape yourself or have a friend watch you. Keep your head and chest behind the ball for your driver. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. I know you know a golfer out there that probably needs this information as much or more than you do. So forward it to them, leave your comments and questions below, and check out the link to my book, A True Swing, if you're curious about the other 4 phases of the golf swing and how to find your true swing. There's lots more drills in there, even though I shared a couple with you today. Lucky you. So see you guys next time for more weekly lessons. Thanks for watching, and hit 'em straight.